Overall, it was probably our most complete game. We had the most explosive plays. We had 17 explosive plays, and that's what you got to do against good SEC defenses, score points. Because not only, I thought the play from Sammy got us started. I mean, it was a great catch. He gave him a chance to make a play. It was really good coverage. Sammy just, took the ball and wanted it more, and then drug him 9 yards into the end zone. And that really got us going offensively. I think it got everything going. It got our crowd going, and that's what those explosive plays can do for you. And, fortunately, we had a few that were touchdowns. We had others that sparked drives and led to touchdowns. And that's what stood out. We had a lot of explosive plays. That was the positive. We were good in the red zone again. We were okay on third down. We were over 50. We were 50%, which is good. The negatives are, we did have the turnover. We did have a false start inside the 10-yard line, which you can rarely get away with. Somehow we did. And then we've got to be better on first down. I mean, we've got to do a better job of helping our guys get things started. And that's from a coaching standpoint. Because really the drives we didn't have success, we just weren't good on first down. So if we can be better on first down, I think that'll help us on third down and just in general finishing drives. But I thought our kids played hard. I thought, the interesting thing about football is on offense it takes all 11 guys doing what they're supposed to do. And the last 2 weeks we've just had that one or two guy not doing what they're supposed to do, and it makes everything look bad. And on defense you can get away with a corner making a great play or a guy making a great pass rush and sacking the guy even though the guy was open. I mean, but on offense you got to have all 11 guys for the most part on every play do what they're supposed to do. And we were better at that last night. And that's why I think we performed better.
When you come home from Kansas State and you're as frustrated as you are at the execution there, and there are multiple games where Nick comes out and says he knows he could have made some throws that he should have had, and then you have a game like that last night, is that the one that you look at and you go, this is what we really expected to be like every week for the most part, other than those mistakes you mentioned, but as a whole, that's really what you guys are aiming for all the time?
Yeah, big picture, the balance was key. I think we ran for about 298. We threw for 268. I mean, there was good balance. Of those explosive plays, we actually had more in the pass game than the running game. So no doubt. I thought Nick played well for the most part. There was a couple plays here or there like everybody, but I thought he played well. And but yeah, I mean, last night was the closest to what we're trying to get to. But you still come back and look on film, and 3rd and 2 we don't get. And, in the game thought maybe it was, well, really, we've got to do a better job. All 11 guys doing their job on every play, and things always go our way. And that's the biggest thing when you're going on like a game this Saturday. Those little things continue to mount. But our guys have done a better job in the last 2 weeks of really focusing in and tightening those things up.
What pops out about Mississippi State's front seven when you watch them on film?
They're big, they're strong, they're physical. I got a lot of respect for Jeff Collins. I think he's as good a DC as there is out there, and he's got those guys playing really well. We struggled last year. It was earlier in the year, so things have changed a little bit since then, but they're really good against the run. I think not only their front four, and they've got even some depth after that, their linebackers are great. I mean, their linebackers are really good, and I really think their whole defense is very good. They're getting a little bit of a bad rap in the passing game, but there was a lot of irrelevant yards at the end of that A&M game when the game was over, and they were just kind of, taking some, getting down and getting a few extra points. And then I know UAB hit some big ones on them, but I mean, as a whole, I think they're a really good defense, and they're by far the best defense we've faced yet. It's not even close.
I'm going to botch this question, so bear with me, but Bernard McKinney said at SEC Media Days that he felt like, just from film and everything, that he had a pretty good feel for your offense and what you guys were going to run. Is that just kind of the player he is, or?
Is he talking about now or when they played us last year?
He said when they played you last year, and then when he watched you in the SEC championship game.
Yeah. Well, when they played us last year, I didn't know what we were going to do. I mean, it was week 3. So, but probably some of that's true. And we're like everybody. I've always said a good offense or good anybody, good defense, you're going to have some tendencies. If you don't have any tendencies, you're not any good because you're not good at something. The big key is how well do you execute. And, fortunately, by the time we played in the SEC championship game, we had gotten good enough in some areas that even if somebody knew something was coming, we could execute it and do well. And then we had some adjustments off of that broke some tendencies. I think he's as good a linebacker as there is in our league, maybe in the whole country. So it wouldn't shock me if he's got a good beat on things. And that's what it's our job to put a good game plan together. And at the end of the day, it comes down to our offense out-executing their defense. It's the bottom line, because they're good coaches. They're going to have a good plan. We're going to have a plan. Our guys are going to play hard on both sides. Who makes the plays? Last night we made plays, and who executes them.
We've seen more of those design draws, but when it comes to the zone read, how often are you guys maybe even calling things from the sideline instead of Nick actually reading things, or is that?
We give Nick a lot of
Misconception.
responsibility. He's got a lot of, he makes a lot of decisions on runs and passes. So, where a lot of quarterbacks, they make decisions on pass plays and who they read and all that. But when it comes to run, it's pretty much called, with the way we read so much stuff, whether it's zone read, power read, other things, there's a lot of decisions being made split second after the snap on our quarterbacks, and sometimes pre-snap. But we don't call a lot of that stuff. He's playing. He does a really good job making decisions for the most part. And I think that's why he's been such a threat, doing what we're doing, because he just does a really good job and knows when to pull it, give it, do certain things, and we trust him.
How much has that trust level just even maybe improved since even the end of last year, where I want to say let him improv a little bit, but you feel comfortable if something breaks down to allow him to go tuck and run and do something else?
You talking about in the pass game or the run game?
Both.
Okay, yeah, probably around Tennessee last year, we really started to feel like he had a really good grasp of the run aspect of things, and we started giving him more then, and really we've trusted him fully since then. There were times that he didn't always make the right decision, and sometimes he makes it right when he's wrong, if that makes any sense. But he's gotten better this year at not being greedy, and there's times that maybe he should, there's probably some times last night he probably could have pulled it and got 15 yards, but it was a little gray. You don't risk any negative plays. Maybe we only got 3. But he's done a good job with that. In the passing game, there's no question this year he's much more comfortable. We have a good bit of confidence in calling what we need to call on. And if it's not there, he's going to make the most of it. And he's not going to throw into bad situations. If he needs to scramble and ad-lib like he even did a few times last night, he can. I know the big play to Sammy was one. He's making good decisions like that. And as a coach, that you trust him more and more to then call things to give him chances to make plays, knowing that if it's not there, he's going to make you right. And I think that's probably the biggest change from last year to now.
Rhett, have you been there, I guess, as a GA to start with, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been there twice. Once at Arkansas and once here.
The noise, the cowbells in particular, how does that affect
Well,
the game?
they're loud. I mean, they affect the game. It's no different than a really good home crowd environment, which they have. And I know they've even added some seats and closed it in since the last time I was there. But hey, noise is noise. And when you go on the road in our league, you got to prepare to be able to play without any verbal communication, whether it's 100,000 fans, whether it's cowbells or both. And that'll be a big part of the game. I thought we handled a really loud environment at Kansas State well from that aspect. We're going to have to do the same again. I mean, that's part of the home field advantage. They got the crowd on their side, and so our guys got to be that much more focused. We can't have penalties in crucial moments. We got to communicate well because all 11 guys got to be on the same page. And those cowbells, I mean, hey, they do the trick, but we got to overcome it.
Whenever there's one of these matchups of top 5 teams, there's always a lot of talk on the outside about teams who've been there before and the perceived advantage that there is. Yeah. Having been in the Iron Bowl and the SEC Championship, the championship game in Kansas State, those spots already with a lot of the players on this team, do you put stock in having been there, or do you think that there isn't much of an advantage to that?
I think there's stock to have been in big games. I mean, the rankings this time of year really, they're just there for someone to fall, to be honest with you. But towards the end of the year, they matter. But, hey, it's a big hype game. Game day's there, all that, and big environment. And, it's good that most of our guys have played in big moments. But at the same time, in the last 2 weeks, they played in 2 pretty big moments and done really well with it. So their confidence is at an all-time high as well. But one thing I do feel good about knowing that our guys, whether we're playing good or whether it's a struggle or whether we're not playing well, they're going to play 4 quarters and they're going to believe and find a way to win. That's the mentality they have. And, they've proven a lot of times they find a way to do that. So our guys have great confidence in that, and so do our coaches.
I know you're not watching, but do you see some Cam Newton? Do you see some Cam Newton in Dak Prescott and the things he does?
I haven't watched Dak enough to compare him to Cam. I do think he's a great player. He's a great leader. He runs the ball well. He throws the ball well. That team believes in him. I remember watching the Ole Miss game last year. It was kind of the first time I guess he was fully the guy, and then they've progressed, and he's doing a really good job. I think it's hard to compare people because their system's different than ours, and Cam and Dak probably one's better at something than the other, but there's probably some similarities. I've heard him compared to Tebow too, because I know that's the same system he played in down there in Florida. So all I know is our defense has got their work cut out for us, and we do too. So I hope he's not Cam Newton on Saturday.
Rhett, you brought up the defense a couple times already about Mississippi State. I know you said they're going to be by far the best you've faced so far, but do they remind you of anyone else that you played?
Yeah, they remind me of Mississippi State last year, and I think that was the only. I'm not trying to be that guy. I think that was the only team, if I remember right.
2 weeks in a row.
That was the only SEC team. I don't have my playbook, man. That was the only SEC team, and plus Florida State of the 9 we played or 10 we played that held Trey under 100 yards. You know, they did a really good job. Now, I'd like to think we got better as the year went on. But like I said, Jeff does a great job. They got great personnel. I mean, their personnel, they were a lot of juniors last year, so there are a lot of seniors this year. The moment won't be too big for them, and they've got a lot of confidence in what they do. So with that regard, you know, stopping the run, you know, they're probably comparable to Alabama and probably what our defense is doing. And, you know, so, and they do a good job not only with their front four and their linebackers, but using their secondary players in the run game as well. I think that's what makes them so tough.
How did the offensive line do coping with the new things changing around?
I thought they did really well. I really do. I think, you know, at least Sean and Reese have been in the same spot. Chad and Avery are comfortable where they're at now because that's where they played the majority of the end of the year last year. So I think that was our most complete game, probably with those guys up front. And I'm really proud of Devontae Danzy. I mean, from, you know, midway the last game through this game, we knew he was ready. It was just a matter of, you know, the guys in front of him were doing a good job. But been really proud of the way he stepped in, and we haven't missed a beat. And I think he'll get better and better as each week goes on. But I thought overall they did a really good job.
Right. We saw a lot more of Cap in the passing game this last game. Was that more by design, or is that just Nick kind of making that check downs that he's been progressing?
I think we hit him on a screen. The other one, it was part of the read. It was, and that's where he went in his progression a couple times. You know, Cameron's done a good job catching the ball for us this year. Traded last year, so there's often times we use running backs in a concept, whether they're the primary guy or not. Depends. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And just so happened that, you know, that's who was open last night. And on 2 of them, I thought he did a good job getting it to him. The other one, I think he had the right idea because he saw the defender. If he'd have led Cap, we might not have Cap anymore. But he just got to put it on. Yeah, I mean, he was in good position. But he did a good job trying to put it on his back shoulder. He just got to, you know, make the throw a little better. But his decision was correct. So, but Cam's proven he can catch the ball really well in the backfield, and that's a good weapon for us.